same as the longest section. Stand on one leg right now. Eyes open, arms loose, no wall, no chair. Count the seconds. If you can't hold it for 10, and roughly 1 in 5 people over 50 can't, then a 2022 study of more than 1,700 adults found your risk of dying from any cause in the next decade nearly doubles, 84% higher, from a test that costs nothing and takes 10 seconds. This is the cheapest health check you will ever do, and almost no doctor performs it. Let me tell you exactly where that number comes from, because when you understand it, you'll never look at balance the same way again. In 2022, a research team led by Dr. Claudio Gil Arujo published a study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. They followed 1,702 adults between the ages of 51 and 75. The test was simple. Stand on one leg. Place the front of the free foot against the back of the standing leg's calf. Arms at your sides, eyes forward. Hold for 10 seconds. You get 3 tries. Then they tracked these people for an average of 7 years. Here's what they found, and it stopped a lot of doctors cold. About 1 in 5 of the participants couldn't do it, and the people who failed the test were far more likely to die during the follow-up period, an 84% higher risk of death from any cause compared to those who passed. Even after the researchers adjusted for age, sex, body weight, and underlying conditions like heart disease and diabetes, the link held. Now, I want to be honest with you, because honesty is the whole point here. This was an observational study. That means it shows a strong association, not a guarantee of cause and effect. Standing on one leg doesn't directly keep you alive. Harvard Health made exactly this point when the study came out, and they were right to. Balance itself isn't magic. So why does this test predict so much? Here's where everyone's intuition goes wrong. Most people think balance is just about your inner ear or about not being clumsy. They treat it like a minor party trick. Something acrobats have and the rest of us slowly lose. No big deal. That belief misses what balance actually is. Standing on one leg is not one skill. It is a real-time report card on at least 4 separate systems working together in perfect coordination. Your inner ear, your eyes, the position sensors buried in your muscles and joints, and the brain that pulls all 3 signals together and fires the right muscles in the right order in milliseconds. When you can hold a one-legged stance, it means all 4 of those systems are still talking to each other cleanly. When you can't, it means something in that conversation has broken down. And the same systems that keep you upright are the ones tied to your nervous system health, your muscle strength, your brain's processing speed, and your ability to catch yourself before a fall. That's why the test predicts so much. It's not measuring balance. It's measuring whether the machinery of your whole body is still running in sync. And here's the part that should give you genuine hope, not fear. The study by Araujo measured something, but measurement is not destiny. Balance is one of the most trainable abilities in the entire human body at any age. The question isn't just whether you can pass the test today. It's what the test is quietly telling you about systems you can still rebuild. So let's go inside those 4 systems, one at a time, and I'll show you exactly which one is most likely failing you and how to fix it. Let me take you inside the first system, because it's the one most people have never even heard of, and it's usually the first to fail. Buried inside every one of your muscles and joints are microscopic sensors. They're called proprioceptors. Their entire job is to tell your brain, without you ever thinking about it, exactly where your body is in space, where your foot is, how much your ankle is tilting, whether your knee is bending. This is the sense that lets you touch your nose with your eyes closed. It's the sense that lets you walk across a dark room. Scientists call it proprioception, your body's internal GPS. Here's the analogy. Imagine your body is a ship, and proprioceptors are thousands of tiny sensors along the hull, constantly reporting the angle and motion of the vessel back to the captain, your brain. When those sensors are sharp, the captain makes instant, invisible corrections, and the ship stays perfectly level. When the sensors go dull and stop reporting clearly, the captain is flying blind, reacting too late, overcorrecting, wobbling. And here's the problem that hits after 50. Proprioception fades with disuse. Research on age-related balance decline points to exactly this. The sensory signals that feed your balance system degrade, and the communication between your nerve cells slows. The sensors in your feet and ankles, in particular, get less precise. You don't notice it happening because your eyes quietly take over the job, compensating without telling you. That's the trap. When you stand with your eyes open, your vision covers for your failing internal sensors. You feel fine. You think your balance is fine. But the moment you close your eyes, or step onto an uneven path, or walk into a dark hallway at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom, the visual crutch is gone, and the dull internal sensors are exposed. That's when people sway. That's when people fall. Think about your own life for a second. Do you reach for the wall when you stand in a dark room? Do you feel less steady walking on grass or gravel than on a flat sidewalk? Do you avoid stepping off curbs the way you used to? If so, your proprioception has already started fading, and your eyes have been quietly papering over it. This matters more than almost anything else I'll tell you today, because of where it leads. A study following one-legged balance performance over time found that better balance was linked to a lower risk of recurrent falls across up to 15 years of follow-up. 15 years. The sharpness of those tiny sensors today is connected to whether you stay on your feet a decade and a half from now. And here's the genuinely encouraging part. Proprioception is a use it or lose it sense, which means it's also a use it and rebuild it sense. The research is still evolving on exactly how fast it recovers in older adults, but the direction is clear and consistent. Challenge these sensors and they sharpen back up. But proprioception is only the first of the 4 systems. The second one is even more surprising because it sits inside your skull and it's been quietly shrinking for years. Here's the part nobody mentions. The second system is your inner ear, and it's been losing cells since long before you noticed. Stay with me, because this explains that specific feeling of the room tilting when you stand up too fast. Deep inside each ear, past the part that hears, sits the vestibular system. Picture 3 tiny, fluid-filled loops set at different angles, like a carpenter's level built into your head. When you move, the fluid shifts, and microscopic hair cells lining those loops sense the motion and report it to your brain. This is what tells you which way is up, whether you're tilting, whether you're turning. It works perfectly in total darkness because it doesn't need your eyes at all. Here's the hard truth from the research. Those hair cells degenerate with age. They don't grow back. Studies on age-related vestibular loss show the system gradually weakens, and that decline is tied to unsteady gait, dizziness, and trouble keeping your balance, especially in the dark, where your eyes can't help. So now picture the one-legged stance test again. When you stand on one leg, your vestibular system is working hard to keep your head and body oriented. If those hair cells have thinned out, the system sends a weaker, noisier signal and you wobble. The test is quietly checking your inner ear without ever looking inside it. If you've ever stood up from bed and felt the room lurch for a second, or felt briefly unsteady, turning your head quickly to back the car out, this is very likely your vestibular system not firing as fast as it once did. This is exactly why I made this video, because here's what most people get catastrophically wrong. They assume that because hair cells don't regrow, balance can't be improved. That is false, and it's a dangerous belief because it makes people give up. If this is making sense to you and you want the actual training routine that rebuilds your balance regardless of your age, subscribe now. I'm giving it to you in just a few minutes, and it works precisely because of what I'm about to explain. That section changes everything about how you'll approach this. Here's the key. You have 4 balance systems: proprioception, vision, the vestibular system, and the brain that integrates them. When one weakens, you don't just have to accept the loss. You can train the brain to lean harder on the systems that still work, and you can sharpen the ones that are merely rusty rather than gone. The vestibular hair cells may not regrow, but your brain's ability to use the remaining signal and to coordinate all 4 systems is remarkably trainable. This is called central compensation. Your brain literally rewires how it weighs the incoming signals. Vestibular rehabilitation, a real established branch of physical therapy, is built entirely on this principle, and it works in people in their 70s and 80s. So the balance you've lost is not a closed door. Much of it is a skill your brain has stopped practicing, and practice is something you control completely. But there's a 4th system, and it ties all of this together, and it's the one almost nobody connects to balance at all. What almost nobody talks about is this: balance is mostly a brain skill, not a body skill, and that single fact rewrites everything. Here's the hidden mechanism. Your inner ear, your eyes, and your proprioceptors adjust the sensors. They send raw data. The actual work, taking 3 streams of information, deciding which to trust, and firing the right muscles in the right sequence before you tip over, all of that happens in your brain, in a fraction of a second, below the level of conscious thought. That's why balance is one of the best windows into brain health we have. To stand on one leg, your brain has to process incoming signals fast, suppress the noise, and execute a motor response instantly. Slow processing, poor integration, delayed reaction, all of those show up as a wobble. The one-legged stance is, in a real sense, a speed test for your nervous system. Read that again. When you wobble on one leg, you're not watching your legs fail. You're watching your brain react a half-second too slowly. The full risk isn't in your feet, it's in the timing. This is why the test predicts so much more than full risk. The same brain speed and integration that keep you upright are tied to how your nervous system is aging overall. That's the real reason a 10-second balance test lined up so closely with survival in Araujo's study. It wasn't measuring your legs, it was taking the pulse of your entire nervous system. And here's the most counterintuitive part of all, the thing that flips the whole problem on its head. Because balance is a brain skill, it improves the way every brain skill improves, through specific, repeated practice. Not through getting younger, not through medication, through reps. The brain that learned to balance as a toddler never lost the capacity to relearn it at 70. It just stopped being asked. I bet a lot of you watching tried the test at the start of this video and surprised yourselves. Some of you better than you expected, some worse. Tell me in the comments, how many seconds did you get eyes open? Be honest. I think the range is going to surprise everyone, and seeing other people's numbers helps more than you'd think. Here's the solid, hopeful science underneath all of this. Balance training works, and it works fast. Programs built around standing on one leg, heel-to-toe walking, and Tai Chi have been shown again and again to reduce falls in older adults. The Tufts University strength research showed adults in their 80s and 90s made dramatic gains with the right training, and balance, being primarily a brain and coordination skill, often responds even faster than raw strength. So the question stops being, how long can I balance today? That's just the measurement. The real question is, what exact practice rebuilds all 4 systems at once? And how do you do it safely, starting tomorrow morning? Let me give you that now. Here's the morning balance routine. 4 steps, building from safest to most challenging. Each one trains a specific system. Do it near a kitchen counter so you always have something to grab. Step 1, the baseline test and warm-up. Every morning, stand on one leg, eyes open, free foot resting against the opposite calf, hands ready near the counter but not touching. Time yourself, then switch legs. This is both your daily measurement and your first training rep. Why it works. Tracking your number turns vague worry into clear feedback, and your brain improves fastest when it gets feedback. Aim to build toward 30 seconds per side. Step 2. Sharpen proprioception. Once you can hold 10 seconds comfortably with eyes open, close your eyes for just 2 or 3 seconds at a time, hand hovering over the counter. This is the single most powerful drill in the whole routine, because closing your eyes removes your visual crutch and forces those dull internal sensors to wake up and report. Start with 2 seconds. Build slowly. This is also the most challenging step, so respect it. Only do it when steady. Step 3. Train the vestibular system. Stand on both feet, then slowly turn your head left and right while keeping your eyes fixed on one point ahead of you for about 20 seconds. This gently challenges your inner ear to keep you oriented while your head moves. Why it works. It's a core piece of real vestibular rehabilitation, training your brain to use the inner ear signal it still has. Step 4. Train coordinated movement. Heel to toe walking. Walk in a straight line, placing the heel of one foot directly in front of the toes of the other, like walking a tightrope. 10 steps forward. Keep the counter or a wall within reach. This forces all 4 systems to coordinate in motion, which is closer to real life than standing still. Do the whole sequence once each morning. It takes about 5 minutes. If even one of these steps was new to you, please tap that like button. It genuinely tells the platform to show this to more people over 50 who deserve to know their balance is rebuildable, not just declining. Now, the honest part. You'll likely see your numbers improve faster than you expect. Balance is a brain skill, and the brain learns quickly with daily practice. Many people add several seconds within the first 2 weeks, but don't chase the number recklessly. The whole point is to stay on your feet, not to fall while testing. This isn't fringe advice. Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, and the NHS all publish nearly identical balance protocols for older adults. And vestibular rehabilitation is an established medical specialty. It's well proven. It's just rarely framed as something you do every single morning the way you brush your teeth. One safety note, and I mean it, always have a stable surface within arm's reach. If you have severe dizziness, a known inner ear disorder, neuropathy, or you've had recent falls, talk to your doctor or a physical therapist before doing the eyes closed step. Safety first, always. The goal is more steady years, not a fall today. So here's where we've landed. 10 seconds on one leg. It sounds almost too small to matter, but you now understand what that small act actually contains. 4 systems, built over a lifetime, reporting in perfect coordination or not. The inner ear, the eyes, the thousands of tiny sensors in your muscles, and the brain pulling it all together faster than thought. That's what Araujo's team was really measuring in those 1,702 people. Not balance, the quiet health of the whole machine. And here's the truth I most want you to take from this. A test result is a snapshot, not a sentence. The number you got at the start of this video tells you where you are today. It tells you nothing about where you have to stay. Because of all the things that decline with age, balance is among the most willing to come back. It's a skill, and skills return to those who practice them. That's the larger lesson, and it reaches well beyond your feet. So much of what we mourn as aging is really just a conversation our bodies stopped having, sensors that stopped being asked to report, a brain that stopped being asked to coordinate, an ability that didn't disappear so much as fall silent. The systems are still there. They're waiting for the request. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. How many seconds did you hold, and which leg felt weaker? Naming your starting number is how you'll know, 3 weeks from now, how far you've come. And your honesty might be exactly what gives someone else the courage to try. Here's the line I want you to carry with you. The next time you stand on one leg by the kitchen counter, you don't lose your balance to age, you lose it to standing still. Share this with someone you love who started reaching for walls, slowing on stairs, or steadying themselves a little more than they used to. They deserve to know their balance isn't gone, it's untrained, and untrained is fixable. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. What I've been researching for next week genuinely surprised me, and I don't want you to miss it. 10 seconds, that's where it starts. Stand up tomorrow morning and begin.